This is legit. This is a FLIR Pro 1, so this is actually used by mechanics, plumbers, electricians, all kinds of people. So I wanted the real deal, including firemen. They will use this to help save people. And I actually upgraded it a few months ago, so you guys are in luck. This is a great version, but the software for it sucks. So here's what I'm going to tell you. We are recording right now, and I'll tell you how this works, but as we kind of go through this, I will give you starts and stops. This is for you, the skeptic. So that way you have something to play with all night long and keep yourself occupied. It's usually how I roll. But with that said, I'm going to give you starts and stops throughout the night. Otherwise, we're going to lose footage just because the software sucks. It's not meant to run for hours and hours and hours. So, again, I'll splice it all together so you guys have one video to watch. What we're looking for in here, obviously, I should be orange, red, and yellow, right? I'm warm out here. And with our chilly weather, this is really nice to have because now we can actually see the variations in temperature. So we are looking literally for cold spots with this guy. Blue and black are going to be the cold areas. If things start to move on their own or take shape on their own and go anywhere between 20 to 40 degrees colder or more, which I've seen, then obviously we might have something going on. I also have other gadgets to actually verify whether it's coming from a man-made object or if it's coming from the spiritual world. So obviously I have different types of thermometers in my bag. You are going to hold this horizontal all night long. The camera will stay on your left-hand side. So again, it's treated like a normal cell phone. It is a construction phone. You can't hurt it. And plus it has extra casings on it. The back battery is to help keep the camera going. It's not meant to go for hours and hours. So I attached a battery to it so that way it would stay on for us.
Okay.
You also have a blue dot on your screen. It shows you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. So it kind of helps your eye bounce around a little bit. And that will stay in the video. You also have a little cheat sheet on there that will not be on the video when I give it back to you. There should be a bar on your right hand side. Is it there? No, it is not there. But we're gonna hit it anyway so we can get it. There it is.
Okay.
Alright, so it's gonna give you your high and it's gonna give you your low. That's for you only. The rest of us won't see that. So if you could see the major variation in temperature, obviously we should not be above 97 to 99 degrees. If we are, somebody's probably sick and should be in the hospital. She's like, oh my God, what's going on? But yeah, nice slow movement from you.
Okay.
I'm horrible with this.
And
too.
like around, not just the
Slow,
ground.
you're right.
Well, there's gonna be more tag decks that I'll show you at the
Okay.
first location. I'm really bad at giving this to the tallest person. I usually like put it in my frame. Don't give it to the tallest guy because people don't like their cars being filmed, and we're gonna be in some spaces where there's gonna be parked cars, and it won't be the first time I'll be screamed at if we get screamed at tonight.
All right.
So
We got you. Steve will run away, not me.
well, I'm about $150 soaking wet, so. And I have an extra 30 to 40 pounds attached to my back that's going to be on there. All right, so spirit boxes. This is a way for us to communicate with the dead.
Okay.
So these are. I usually use multiple types when we're in field like this, but we're only going to use one. Reason why is because this guy records. Spirit boxes are basically the radio sweepers. It's going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a very quick rate. On your TV shows and YouTube videos, it's the white noise, and then Zach Bagans tells you the bullshit he thinks he heard, and we all try to believe him, but he's a liar. But, sorry, if you're not a ghost hunting fan, you don't know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I get the grandparents like, who the hell is he talking about? But anyway, mine is slowed down on purpose. I want the radio to come through. So if you hear song lyrics, DJs, or commercials, and you can make out a phrase that they're saying, I want to know what it is. It's a 50-50 shot. I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history I'm talking about, or even something going on with one of us. So again, you're going to have an earbud in, so that and I don't want it back because the earwax is gross. I'm sure you'll look at it. I buy them in bulk, obviously, but I'll set it up. You're going to get the entire recording back. So even if you turn the volume up and down to your liking, we won't hear that. It's all going to be recorded at one nice even level.
So if he misses it, you still have it.
You will still have
You
it.
don't have to like stress.
Right.
I would be stressing like.
Well, that's
am
why I say
gonna miss it?
40% in real time in the field, and then 60% is caught the next day. Now, when I go through this
cool.
recording tomorrow morning, you have to remember, you guys are going to record about 4 to 6 hours worth of data. I'm not going to go through it all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that kind of time. So, not to mention, you guys paid to do a full investigation, so I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go through everything for about 2 hours. Put all my notes in there, sprinkle in some links so you guys can verify everything, and the rest is up to you.
Okay.
So, again, if you hear something, plus whatever you hear in real time, I'm going to be writing down. I keep a little notepad with me. So if you hear weird things, like, oh my God, it just said drop it like it's hot, that might actually mean something. So it just depends on where we're at. And that was a legit thing, and you guys are going to realize that later on. But I already have it set up to be recording. The only button you're going to worry about is a wheel right here. And I'm going to give you a set of earbuds, and the hole is going to be right there on the side. I think I have purple and yellow tonight. Which color would you like, sir?
I guess it's yellow. Alright, where's the wheel?
It's right next to the button, so don't hit the button, roll the wheel.
Where's the wheel? Right there. Got
A little bit in. So those go to you. They've never been used. I have to change my source because these are not individually bagged like I like now. So. Next. You're going to be my multitasker.
Okay.
I'm saving you for last because this was your idea. So, this device is called a millimeter. It has
Okay.
3 different functions. We need some type of EMF, electromagnetic field detector, so this is its first function. Your big numbers, you guys have probably seen the blinky ones on TV, right? Where Zach's like, oh my god, it's blinking! Like, I
Yeah.
have one of those, I normally give it to the little tyke of the group because it's very easy to read.
Yeah.
But anything above 2.5 on the big numbers,
Okay.
I want to know what's going on, and that way we can
2.5.
debunk it. Either if it's a pattern like 2.5 to 5, 2.5 to 5, it's usually something man-made.
Okay.
So cell phones, electrical wires, buildings, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, and we'll test it. The bottom number is ambient temperature. That's going to tell you how cold you are all night long. So
Oh.
in the event Jeff finds something on his camera, you and I can figure out if it's coming from something man-made or if it's actually something paranormal based on the probe up here.
Okay.
The last thing that it has is it's called, of course I turn off the, it's called a REM pod. So basically it's going to detect motion.
Okay.
The motion, if anything gets close to that antenna that I just pulled out, and I'll demonstrate here in a sec once this turns back on. There we go. So if anything actually gets close to it, it will go off.
Weird.
The closer it gets, the higher the noise. You have different colors that are on there. They're very bright. That's why I'm not flashing it in your face. But you
Okay,
can
I see it, yeah.
So again, we don't use this all the time because it can get a little faulty. So
Yeah.
you and I will work together on that. Just keep the little flap open in the back. But
Okay.
focus on the EMFs for now.
Okay. Should
You
I
get to
open up
carry
the
the bag.
flap right now?
You can. It doesn't matter. You can leave it closed if you like.
Okay.
You are getting the newer device. So this guy in the cold hasn't been super great, but we're going to try it out again anyway. So, demonstrate what this guy actually is.
Oh my.
Please tell me that goes on your head.
Nice GoPro
No.
for you.
So, you should not be able to see me in that tiny screen. I know it's pretty small, but I should be pretty dark. Let's turn on some lights. This is full spectrum lighting. So infrared lighting, this is light you cannot see with your own eyes.
Nice.
Wow.
So the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something that we wouldn't normally see with our own eyes. So
Yes.
again, this
You
guy
wanna
likes
The
switch?
best one.
this guy likes to freeze. So it's nothing paranormal. We'll see how many batteries you drain. You're going to drain at least one. That's for certain. If you drain more than one, we probably have something going on. This has been a great detector for that, but I've only had this guy for like 3 or 4 months. So we'll kind of go through some of the motions with this. You will record with this, but I like for it to warm up with the battery running and all of that first. And we already have different 2 pieces of audio anyway. So this guy goes to you. She's like, oh, hell yeah. I get the Ghostbuster looking thing. That's great. All right, you guys go have fun. Let me know what happens. I'm kidding. Keep going.
It's like, oh god.
All right, so any concerns at this point, now that everybody's, what I'm going to be using.
Yes.
So I normally have a phone set up with this app that I absolutely love. And that phone broke this morning, which is ironic because my wife is a cell phone manager for Best Buy. You would think we have stacks of phones lying around. Unfortunately, we had to order a new one. So this device, I'm going to just have it running all night long. It's going to give us a word from time to time where those 3 dots are, okay? And then it's going to save all those words to a list. I forget where I was like, oh, let me see if this place is haunted. But we're going to clear that out. 80% of what comes out of this app is absolute bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. It's meant to be a game and a hoax, all right? So it's the other 20%. Look at that, it says the word foot, which actually could be relevant based on whatever you're hearing and whatever else comes up. We're going to talk about that in a second. So the other 20%, if it is relevant, it's going to be the same thing. Where we are, a person I'm talking about, something going on with one of us. I don't know you guys very well. That's why I give you guys the whole list. I will highlight what I feel is relevant based on where we are, and then
Yeah.
give you the link. So it also has timestamps, which is very convenient for me. This is the first piece that I like to go through. That's why it's so important that I have this list. And the phone breaking this morning, I was like, "Arr!"
Yeah.
So, but the timestamps are relevant because that way I know where to go in the video, where I need to go in your recording, so forth and so on, to see if something matches up. Enforcement is the next word. So far the only thing I see that's slightly relevant is foot. I will scream out if something is very, very vague. I'm like, that's nothing. I need specifics. That's just why you guys are here.
Yeah.
So, again, you'll have the full list, but I'll
So
have this.
what would that mean? Like enforcement? Like is that something
This
that's like,
app-
coming through? Or?
This app is designed to spit out a word
Okay.
every random set of time.
Okay.
Okay, so if it starts, it has over 9,000 terms in here.
Oh, okay.
Now, normal ghost hunters, pros, I consider myself a pro, they will use something called an ovulus. An ovulus only has 2,048 terms in it. This app has over 9,000. So if I
Okay.
can rule out 80% of it, I'm
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
it's more, to me, it's more fun to have this and just actually see, like, what else is coming up.
Okay.
So, again, it just gives it a little bit more of an oomph of different words to be able to choose from. So, and I also want, with your device, I want you to kind of think of it as Bumblebee from Transformers. It's you're looking for those DJs and song lyrics.
Gotcha.
Now, the disembodied voices that you guys normally hear, like on your TV shows, are a rarity. I might get 4 of those a year, maybe. Like, and they have to be like Class A. Like, it shouldn't be. I have to tell you what it says, right?
Yeah.
You should be able to clearly hear it, and it's not a radio DJ. I then test it to see how many radio stations it actually went over, and if it's more than 4 to 6, then we probably have a Class A.
Yeah.
So we will talk more about that as we move along. This is a very big Ghost Hunting 101 course.
Okay.
So that's what I want you guys to think of this as we kind of go through things. So this is just going to run all night in my pocket. I'll pull it out from time to time just to see where we are.
Okay.
Obviously, you guys are going to keep me very busy because I'll be writing things down from him, recording your readings because it doesn't record anything, so I need those manually
Oh, okay.
written down.
Anything over 2.5.
Anything over 2.5. So let's talk about why we're here. I told you guys to meet me at Big John's. At least I told Steven to meet us at Big John's. Big John was a football player. Do you see where the word foot comes in?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm waiting for other things to pop up. Now, tonight is a playoff game. I don't follow sports. Is that
Yes.
true?
Yeah.
So you might actually get some things that are just coincidental at this point. But if we get the name John, we get the word big, or the word ball, obviously, is a big thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what this place was named after. He was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. This was his place. He used to tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel were old enough to drink or not. And one night, 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough. He has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar while John is sitting in the back. He recognizes them, sees what they're about to do, gets up away from the bar, and just starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right to the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands in the wall.
Wow.
Yeah. John, after being shot, I'm going to remind you, gets up. 2 guys are still on the floor. John goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in an ambulance. So, nobody dies in that story. What's haunting the place? The bullet hole. It's still here. Even if it's not after the renovations that this Big John's that we now know covered it up, Big John's blood is still here. People that sit in the front of this bar have a tendency to get a headache, queasiness, nauseous, a little bit of dizziness.
What?
Happens all the time. I have guests that eat there because of where we meet, and then they say, I couldn't finish this wonderful steak because I was nauseous. I'm like, well, where did you sit? I sat in the front. So, happens all the time. So, I bring this up on purpose, which is one of the reasons why we're here. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity. Whatever Jeff thinks or not, it's just what we're going to be doing. See how I focus on him all night, guys? So if any of you feel any of those things, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group to get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I won't say that people haven't passed out on this tour based on the amount of paranormal activity that happened on those particular nights. I may even say a few stories based on where we are, just to kind of remind you, you have to let me know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about something a little happier that's not our own health. Same building. If you've taken any kind of tour in Charleston, you know we had a big earthquake here in
Yes.
1886,
Yeah.
right? So one of the reasons why I ask you what other tours have you taken. I'm not looking for my competition. I don't have any. So this building is where the first death occurred from that earthquake, allegedly. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building goes around to the front. A piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, and it killed him. They say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. And I got that word from the previous bar owner just a few years ago before the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
I say allegedly and apparently a lot with that because I don't have any proof.
Yeah.
So it's just a great segue. So the moms on my group, when I have them, aren't thinking about their kids getting sick on my tour. Because a lot of them look at me like, well, what the hell did I just sign up for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go this way.
Excited.
Are you doing anything at all?
Do you need to be in the front with your video camera?
We're gonna be in the back though.
You don't need the back though.
you guys end up parking?
Just right down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so I know how to get you guys back, because we will not end up here.
Oh, okay.
We don't go far, but I just need to know how to do it. That's the difference with my tour is because we stop and investigate, it's not a 2-mile tour. Like, we literally go 0.6 miles.
Okay.
It's not far at all. It's like,
It's good.
We walk all
Actually,
day.
my last guest 2 weeks ago, which was the last tour I had, because I had to cancel a lot of our. We had a lot of ice storms here. You guys get that down there?
No.
You know? Yeah, ice down up here is like, oh my, I'm from the north, so I just giggle. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are afraid of ice. But anyway, welcome to the Big Red Barn lot. You guys ever taken a paradride? Your horses may have come from this red barn. They are still inside. Yes, they're being kept warm. They're fine. But the history here is very simple. This is usually where I kind of go through a quick tutorial of everybody's device with them so we can get some hands-on experience.
Okay.
The history is really simple. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston, 1860s and 1820s, roughly. It's the only history I could find. It's the only history I could dig up. We're also pretty close to Big John's. Let's talk about spirit boxes, because technically we're using 2. The one that Stephen has and the one that I have in my hoodie. Spirit boxes, this is not, is somebody here? Like everybody wants to ask, right? Because that's a yes or no question. If somebody says no, that means somebody's here. So we go after the specifics when you're with me, because that's how I normally investigate. You're going to be asking questions in this location. We're just going to peruse through very slowly. Basically, of things you already know the answer to, like what color is the big red barn, right? So that way we can get used to listening to anything dealing with the color red. The color red might not be in the vocabulary of the DJs and song lyrics that he's listening to. Like red, red wine is not going to come up every time you ask that question. But if you think of fire trucks, heart, blood, all 3 of those things are specifically red. They make sense when that's an answer. Most of the night, I'm going to require 2 pieces of information to be able to verify what's actually happening and call it paranormal. I'm not going to go off the cuff and say, that's paranormal, that's paranormal. I'm not that guy. So, if I get the word art on my word list and you hear the number 40, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. So, I put those 2 clues together. We might have Art with us. We'll see if anything else pops up. Do you see how I get that kind of started? A lot of the stories tonight we're going to be dealing with 17th and 18th century people. A lot of the same names. Lots of Charles, Georges, Elizas, that kind of thing. So we need to know who the hell we're talking to. I always like those secondary clues. You're going to hear me use that term a lot, secondary clue. And it might not even be something we catch in the field. It might be something that pops up when I'm going through the data or when you're going through the data. So, spirit boxes, that's basically how we're going to run those, and that's basically how you're going to be listening to it. Again, any little simple thing you hear, oh, it just said stop sign. Perfect. Let's see if the word stop sign actually means anything. Of course, that's specifically red, too. I never thought of that one until right now. See why you guys keep me around? Cameras. But there's 2 of them in play tonight. Again, this is a space where, obviously, there would be normally parked cars here. When people are going to their cars, you're simply holding a device. Yours is easy to conceal because it's just a cell phone. So yours is pretty easy. Yours, at that point, a little difficult. I want you to try to keep somebody in view at all times. It might be hard because my parking garage is pretty far from here, so I get a feel of how the city is. It's pretty slow tonight. So it's not necessarily somebody in the face, but you want to try to keep somebody's skin tone in view and the sky out of view. The reason why is because it's looking for surface temperature. There's no surface on the sky. So that blue dot is going to default to the sky every single time. So people
behind somebody, maybe.
Yeah, people in, sky out. That's the easiest thing I can remember. With your camera, so let's kind of get you have 2 lights working for you. Yours is easy, so we're going to talk more about yours in a minute. You have 2 lights working for you. You have one right next to the lens, right? And then you have this guy up here. I call this short range and long range. So the only thing you need, like this guy is just going to stay in place all night long, but I'm going to be constantly looking to make sure that these 4 red dots are on, because sometimes people set it down and the switches get flicked, so forth and so on. Just keep in mind that the bottom light gives us night vision. That draws attention from other tours, and they start harassing you guys that they have a better tour than me. That's why I leave it off. This guy, if somebody gets too close or we're in a circle, see how that bleached out my hand a little bit? You could turn that off. And you still have the long range working for you, because when I'm watching those clips in the morning, I'm not looking for things in the purple circle, so to speak. I'm looking for things outside of it. So I know I reflect light, even light I can't see. So I'm looking for anything that might be coming out of the darkness that shouldn't be reflecting light. Does that make sense to everybody? And a lot of that, I'm not going to be looking for some creature coming up and say, I'm looking for little blips. I'm looking for things to come through that shouldn't be there. This thing catches orbs like crazy. When I have my full groups of 10, I also use lasers with this camera. So because this camera can see the lasers really, really well. So if something passes through the lasers, it's an awesome sight to see.
Yeah.
So again, this camera is multifunctional, but it does like to freeze. When I say let's get this thing going, as far as recording, there's a record button at the top of the camera. It is right here. It's the red button. You'll have to press it down pretty firm because it's inside of a waterproof case.
Okay.
It'll start to flash. That means it's recording. Every 9 minutes and 26 seconds, it'll start a new file. So it's going to flicker on the screen. Again, nothing paranormal. Just wanted to kind of give you that heads up.
Okay.
Your device.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you how to work this guy. So open up that flap in the back. Your antenna's already up, so that's good.
Oh gosh.
You got gloves on, so this might be a little difficult.
Pull me out.
It's just flipping backwards?
I think it just
Yeah,
flips.
just flips out. Okay, so there are two little white buttons. Yeah, I got it up for you.
Oh, yep.
So there's two little white buttons on the right-hand side. You can
Okay.
go ahead and feel them.
Yes,
The one on the right-hand side, closest to the edge, is the one that you want to turn on the REM pod.
Okay.
So
Go
you-
ahead and press that?
Yeah, go ahead and click it all the way into place. It's got to stay flush with the.
Oh, whoops.
That's why I have you guys do it.
Shoot, I might need to take off my gloves.
Yeah, it might be best.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
why
so-
my gloves are set up the way they are, with the fingers cut out.
Okay. So
Okay.
just hold it down.
Yeah,
Here.
you got this.
And then hold it down.
Yep, press it until it clicks into place. Perfect. So you should be.
Did it click?
Nope.
Nope.
You gotta click it into the device. You'll feel it click. It's a pretty hard press.
Okay. I think it's on.
Yep, you got it. All right, so this thing's gonna move with your movements.
Oh, wow.
So what you just did was you turned on an EMF field around the antenna,
Okay.
and on the right-hand side, there's 4 buttons.
Okay.
Actually, that's the right side. Wherever the 4 buttons are, I can't remember which side.
Yes, like they're popping
so,
out.
Yep, so the very bottom one, it resets it. So whenever those colors and it's making noise, you just kinked up that field. So
Okay.
you want to straighten it back up again, so that way it gives something else an opportunity to break it.
Okay.
So as you walk, you might actually, I normally give this to women because you walk more gracefully. but with this, as you're walking, if it's going off, your button should be on that bottom button on the spine a lot, just to make
Okay.
sure it's not your movements. Right now it's coming from your movements and it's being disruptive.
So should
But
I press that?
You should always press it,
So like, just go like that.
just to make sure it resets itself.
Okay.
And you
I'm
can
gonna take off
almost
my
like
gloves.
tell, like based on the amount of lights and how it's flickering around in your movements, if it's coming from you or not. This device is meant to be set by itself on a shelf or on a table or something to see if anything's going to come near it.
Ah.
So as we're walking through, yeah, you should be constantly clicking that, trying to get it to reset.
Okay.
There you go.
Got it.
Yeah, your button should be like, you should have a trigger finger on that guy.
That's
because
why I take off mine.
Just because it seems like
Pull
it's
my- pull
super
this off.
sensitive tonight.
Yes. There we go.
All right, so who's with who in this group? Like,
This is my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You keep getting separated.
Yeah, we keep.
oh,
Oh, we see how-
We'll make it
yeah,
easy for
sorry.
you.
so tall and short, medium. Got it. That's how I'm going to remember that. All right, so as we kind of walk through this, have you heard anything before we move on?
Nope.
Okay.
Are you paying attention?
Yep.
He is.
Trying to.
So you could see how many words popped up just from us standing here.
Clues popped up on there?
Do you have blues clues?
Clues.
Clues?
No.
No.
I was just testing it.
So nothing here has given me anything that says, hey, we might actually have something going on. So most of it is going to be the 80%. You can probably turn that off until we get to the next stop,
Okay.
which is across the street.
What do I,
That's
what do I
just
press? This?
hit the
white
white button
button.
again until it pops out.
Okay, good.
All right, let's take a hike. Let us know what
Yeah.
you hear.
I don't have to press that button yet, right?
Nope.
Nope, not yet. Is this what you guys thought you signed up for?
She thought she was getting the carriage ride.
I did. I was like, are we going to Paris?
I don't give piggyback.
Oh.
over there was kind of like your teach and train, right? This is what I'm going to call basically like your level 1. So you will not know the answers to the questions that I'll give you at the end of this piece of history. So it will not be a what color was George Washington's white horse kind of mentality. You will get the answers from spirit boxes and from me and Steve.
Okay.
So again, I don't like to give you that preemptive subliminal message, so kind of keep that in mind. This location used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion sat in the front of this lot, broad, and we're going to talk about a little bit about architecture throughout the tour. And I'll explain why that's important with these folks here later on. But Eliza's garden was behind Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing where the servant and slave quarters would have been for the home. Okay, the Pinckneys had a lot of slaves, so they just put it out. So for the home, this is where they had little tiny huts back here, and it actually went over the median of what's already here. So the plat of land was pretty large. So who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses. Do you see why I need a secondary clue all the time? The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us.
Yeah.
However, you're on vacation. Nobody wants to talk about politics, but if I don't bring it up, something usually happens. Like, hey, you forgot about the Constitution. So you think I'd forget it on purpose, right? But anyway, Eliza married Charles at a young age. I'm not going to tell you guys how old, but I will tell you that Charles was over double her age. So again, I look for specific numbers. Numbers and names usually don't lie.
Yeah.
So, and it's
Online.
I will tell you
Guilty
that
pleasure. That's getting up big time.
Yeah. Sunday night
That's
for us.
really weird.
Guilty pleasures on a Sunday in the South. Awesome. So, and when you think of a young age as far as being married, it's according to today's standards, not the colonial times of when she came from. Actually, back then she would have been considered an old maid. Nobody would have wanted to marry her at this age. Just keep that in mind. And that's basically for you because you're the only one listening. So anyway, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. He wanted to see all of his kids one last
I'm
time.
at 9.4, then it went back down.
That's awesome.
I was
That's
like,
a great
is that
rating.
doing it at 4.9?
Nice. Keep those numbers in your head because I'm going to have to write them
Okay.
down. So, and usually whenever I start talking about Eliza, usually when I start spiking up. But her father was dying. He wanted to see his kids. Instead, Eliza got married. This is 1744. There's no such thing as citizenship or green cards and any of that bullshit. So she actually married this guy to love. So even after he died, because they had a big age gap, she did remain a widow. So this was a loyal love. So there was no cheating or anything like that. A lot of people like to ask, but there is none. At least not on record. But she was right. Dad didn't die right away. So instead, he starts sending her gifts to this spot. She's already married. It's kind of an apologetic thing. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. You guys have been around town for a few days. You've probably seen the word indigo a few times.
Yes, yeah. I know.
Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today.
9.9.
Love it. So
12.4. I don't know if it's the wind.
it's definitely no. Those are EMF spikes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not motion. That's EMF. So that's like your microwave being on.
Uh-huh.
Same mentality.
Okay.
And I'll kind of give you some things to compare that to.
Okay.
But anyway, where was I? Indigo.
Indigo.
So she didn't know what she was doing with it, and obviously it doesn't stay warm here. So she had to learn from her Gullah slaves how to keep it cultivated in our cold temperatures. When she figured it out, she experimented with it and then moved it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant, in Sneed Farm. Then she calls Dad up and says, hey, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with these indigo seeds that you have going on. So can you give me some contacts? Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Absolutely unheard of. So that's just the basics of what she's done. Let's get into the weird shit about her so you have some questions to ask. Obviously the marriage thing was a big deal. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back, same year. So first Eliza dies, no, I don't remember what from, but ironically both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Both maiden names have shown up here in the past. So take that for what it's worth. You can ask which Eliza we're talking to. So now we're dealing with 3 Charleses, 2 Elizas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. Keep mindful of your cameras. It's like, oh, he's already gone. He's already in there. But the mansion's not here. So you can ask what happened to it, and then you can see what year that happened. We get a specific year. It's very specific. So again, we'll see what happens with that. Eliza's death, you can ask anything you want to. Of course, they're all going to be focused on you, just so you know, because you're going to be the one listening. Eliza's death, she's open. Ask her anything you want to. Normally, it's, hey, Eliza, how old were you when you died? what did you die from, where are you buried, and what U.S. president took you to your grave, acted as a pallbearer. So, again, that president took her to her grave at his own request. So it just showed how important she was to getting the colony started. The kids, I told you there was at least one. His name was Charles. There are more. You can ask how many she had and what their names were, but leave it alone. There's a tragedy among those kids. We don't poke the bear. If we poke the bear, all activity stops, including any EMF that she's getting over there. So we poke that bear too hard, your entire tour is pretty much ruined. I normally get phone calls later on that says, sorry, but I poked the bear even though you told me not to. I'm like, well, your dad is shit, and you just screwed it up for 9 other people. So watch out of the way. This is the only way in and out of here. I think that about covers the bases that we can get going with that, but you're basically going to be following whatever reading that we have going on here. Now, everything dealing with the slaves, I can't prove any of it because there's no records.
Okay.
So the fact that you were getting 12.4s and
yeah,
you know,
there's like an 11.6 too.
That's good stuff.
Okay.
Like, that's really good stuff. I'm going to check. Let's go ahead and get your video starting to record. So go ahead and tap that button. Like I said, you're going to have to press it pretty hard to get it going.
Okay. It's red.
Is it?
Is that?
No, I'm worried about this guy flashing.
Oh.
And you are. So you're good.
Okay.
So you are recording. We missed this. So the third word, we started off with foot, so it works its way up. What color is the big red barn?
Yeah.
So you have to remember, I'm out here 6 nights a week on warmer weather months. So these questions are preempted. Like, we're going to get answers because they already know what we're going to ask.
President came up.
Did it really?
Yep, it's up there.
I see it.
President.
Very interesting. It's 8. That was at 8:13. What time is it now?
Because you said what president
That was
her
7.
pallbearer.
Yeah, that was 7 minutes ago.
That's weird.
Very interesting. So, let's scour the lot a little bit. I'm worried about your camera because the backup camera or the backup battery isn't on.
Okay.
And that is supposed to, I know I charged it, keep the camera running.
So should I turn this on too?
You can,
The button?
for sure. I know that battery's not dead. It stayed on a charger for 2 weeks. We'll see how long it lasts. Do you have a percentage on there now?
No percentage, but it looks like it's a little battery signal, at least 3/4, if not full.
Okay. Keep hitting that button. Look how we just wandered off. Look
I
at
know.
they have a conversation
I know.
over there.
Is he asking the president?
Probably. And that's usually what happens. People wander off.
Are you asking the question?
I just heard president.
You did?
Oh yeah, I gotta rate that. Well, let's go through the numbers you already had so far. You had 9.4, 12.4.
5.7, 8.9.
Okay, obviously we're in a good spot. You see how it's kind of wavering and you're not really giving me the same numbers back and forth?
Yeah. Oh, 28.1.
Perfect. All right, so let me put these readings in perspective for you.
Okay.
Behind your television set, where all the wires are, is usually going to give you about a 42 to 55. Like, that's about an average. Your microwave running on high with the door shut is going to give you about a 150.
Okay.
Like, it's a lot. So, in this location, I've seen that thing spike out in another location outside of here. It was actually in Florida.
Yeah.
Go up to 198, and then it went into an error mode. I left the room and came back, and it did it again, but then it went back to 0. In this location, I've seen it go up to 149.
What?
One time. I've had a couple other triple digits here, but I've never done an archaeological dig here. There's no wiring underneath us to make that thing go
Yeah.
off. So take that for what it's worth. And you heard president? Anything else specific?
No,
Children or?
it's going
Charles?
fast, so
Yeah.
it's hard to catch it.
So if she's getting spiked, should I be pointing like around her or like what does
Keep
that
it
mean?
still.
Okay.
So if she's getting spikes, and a lot of like what she's got going on here, like this is a dusty lot, so she might actually have air particles from the dust kicking up to hit this. So I'm not really like, oh my god, we have motion. It's a little breezy. It could be kicking some of this up. We are walking around. A car just left this area.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to debunk things all night long. But until I say, hey, Eliza, can you make this go to blue? And if you noticed, the blue and purple is in the middle. So now go ahead and let it run. I'm going to try it. See how the blue and purple are in the middle?
Yeah.
If I say, Eliza, make it go to blue, that means she has to get a certain distance to be able to make it do that. And we get
Like
that reading all the
closer
time.
to
Right.
it?
I don't do red because that means she's got to touch it. So make it go to blue or purple. And obviously blue being an indigo color,
Yeah.
I usually try to get that kind of response. I do that
Yeah.
purposely even outside of this space when I'm in other investigations just because it's validating.
Okay.
It's not, all right, go ahead and touch this device, make this box go off. I ask for a specific color to make it do, to prove that she's actually here. What else you got?
Nothing. Just music.
So, Eliza, you need to tell us which president was a pallbearer at your funeral. Can you tell us what that was? I know you can. You've done it before.
John?
No. That's not even one of the kids' names. But you're hearing things, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
good. That's the point.
Oh.
Go ahead and click it. See, that was nothing. If it went right back to that same reading, I'd be like, okay,
Yeah,
you
we
might
got
actually.
something.
Right. And see why you're just a cameraman?
8.0, 7.7. Then it went back down.
Eliza, you need to tell us which president was a pallbearer at your funeral.
Say Leonore?
That's a hell of a name. Just got the word interview.
That's weird.
It's vague. Eliza, it's Nick. I want you to tell us which president took you to your grave. What was that last reading you said you had? Somebody had something I needed to write down. It wasn't Leonore.
I had like 7.7, I think.
Okay. So anything above 12.4 or the 28.1, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
So the low single-digit numbers, oh great, we have activity.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of like, can we get it higher than 28?
Okay. Should we ask what her children's names were?
Go right ahead.
Eliza, what were your children's names?
That was weird. The little flickering.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like any of the other patterns we've seen here.
Yeah. Six point six, 6.3, 5.6.
Now, the question you just asked is the same answer of which president.
Really?
One of her kids had the same name as the president that
Okay.
acted. So I was kind of like, all right, we'll
Yeah.
keep going, see what happens.
17.8,
That's good.
29.1, 20.8, 16.2,
29.1. Was that it?
35.6.
That's crazy. So that's excitable. This is me excited, guys.
Yeah.
Do you see I'm not a television host? Like that's me like stoked, which means you're just missing stuff.
Come on, Steve.
I'm in a speed through there. Can you slow it down?
22.4.
It's as slow as it'll go.
Shit.
16.5.
I mean, if something gets said, it stops, but it's not.
Again, so for example, she was married to Charles, right? You're
Yeah.
listening to Charleston radio stations. So if you catch just Charles at Charleston, and
Yeah.
we asked, what was your husband's name? And all he heard was Charles, even though it was meant to be Charleston, that's okay. It's also going to pick up words before and after the stuff we need. What color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. We don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. We just need
Yeah.
red. So again, you're going to be picking up certain things,
Yeah.
and I'll give you more examples as we kind of go along here. We're also dealing, just so you guys know, with an intelligent spirit here. No matter who's here, they're all going to be reactive to our questions and obviously devices.
Yeah.
So some of these locations we're going to go to tonight, it's not that way. This, like I said, this is Ghost Hunting 101. I specifically chose certain places on purpose
Yeah.
to teach you guys about the different types of ghosts that can be around. Any variations going on with your camera? I know you haven't really been watching it much.
He
Not
probably
too
hasn't
much.
looked one time.
No, my bad.
No, he's good. He's perfectly fine. He's involved. Was I like spot on with the skeptic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve, you didn't text him that again?
He did? No. Would you like to see the string of text? I don't hide anything, guys.
It's frozen.
Did it freeze up?
Yeah.
So that's a battery pop.
Oh, okay.
Alright, go ahead and let go. I have to pop the battery. Again, I think because I've tried so many different types of batteries and SD cards in this guy, that it's just like, this isn't the stuff I was meant to work with. Like I upgraded everything. So I think I should get you guys some answers. What do you think? Since you're not really hearing anything specific enough.
Yes.
Alright, so we'll leave your REM pod on just as I go through the answers. But if you want to stop your video, you can. So hit the red square. Kind of give it a break. You can even put it in your pocket to get it warm,
Alright.
which would be fantastic. Tiny shotgun houses down here. So it makes sense because the smell of low tide would have been coming over from the water. And again, nobody's going to live down here. You guys notice the houses at the battery are slanted, like if the skinny side in front. They did that for two reasons. So the first reason is you were taxed based on how much street side you took. So if you can make it skinny and long back, you're paying less taxes. The other reason is to keep low tide from coming through. Notice the piazzas have front doors on them.
Yes.
Before you go to the porch, that's to keep the low tide smell out. You open up the top window, and it air conditions the whole house. So I told you guys about the Pinckney Mansion making it. They were broad, like they put the big side on the street side. They didn't care about taxes. They're willing to pay them. It was bragging rights. Plus, they're also outside the walled city. So again, if you lived out there, it's a little different ballgame. You can do whatever you want. So the names I normally get down here are Benjamin and John. We did hear John earlier, but we're in a whole different space. So interesting thing about those is this is a residual haunting that I've caught here. You're standing on Belgian blocks. They're made strictly of granite. Anything that comes straight from the earth, like granite or limestone, is said to hold on to the consciousness of memories. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. I have the full list. That's why I wait for names to pop up. We're about week 1 or 2 of the 6 to 7 week loop that I normally get those two names specifically. When I say people live down here, I'm only talking like 2 to 5. That's not a lot. So when I get 2 names that show up constantly every 6 to 7 weeks, and it's the same names over and over again, and every once in a while a third name will pop up, the name Jane. Also 1801. That's 3 out of 5 people that lived here. I don't call that coincidence. We've caught a lot of orbs here with your camera. The other reason why this is called Lodge Alley, let's get into that. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had their Masonic lodge here. Put 2 and 2 together, this is Lodge Alley. I do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. So anything dealing with bricks, obviously the Mason, Freemason. I've had the word Illuminati show up 3 different times here, and I have to giggle every time I hear it. First off, who the hell's saying Illuminati on the radio? You know what I mean? It's not coincidence that I heard it in this location 3 different times. So take that for what it's worth. This is a very interesting space. Not a lot of tours come down here just because it's really right on the brink of where we're allowed to go. But again, I love teaching you guys about an intelligent. It shut down completely. So we got to get you a whole new battery. I love teaching you guys about, obviously, the intelligent ghosts and coming here for residual, because this is not a place where you ask questions. This is a place where you just wait to see what's going to happen. So I'm going to swap out the battery for this camera, and then we're going to move on to the next space. Thanks, you too. I'm literally taking you as far as I'm allowed to take you on this side of town. So as we kind of cut through here, it's definitely no filming, because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood.
Okay.
So you're going to see some houses until we get to our next space. Now our next space, it's another alley, but I can't take
Yeah, no.
Oh, you're good. I don't know. I am.
That's the wall to Philadelphia Alley back there. You can see the gateway right in the center. I'm pointing it out specifically because we have so much evidence against them right now. We have 2 terms, 2 different spirit boxes. So kind of keep that in mind. We're going to do a quick recap. I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the things that you guys have already done. But we are going to talk about a few stories. Have you heard anything at all?
No, while music.
Okay. And the word female that just popped up.
You said you heard
And the word shy. So
Yeah,
very
but-
interesting. Well, I kind of use the spirit boxes. There's literally like 15 stories on this corner. I know which ones are true. I know which ones are pretty much bullshit. But I like to use the spirit boxes to kind of steer me in the right direction, just to see if we can get any proof. You guys can have a seat. We're going to show here for a minute. Every ghost tour in town stops at that gate.
I'm just intrigued by so many things.
All right. So again, I'm a vampire guy.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's kind of get into this one. It's a little bit of a whopper. And have you heard anything? Present us with the word "the."
Man, I'm so glad I
Please.
didn't have that in my ear. 'Cause y'all would be killing me.
It's fun. I never expect people to hear something. I just want them to have the experience of like, what do we have to go through?
Yeah.
So every 5 minutes of your recording, I listen to 1 full minute. So I give you 15 to 20 markers. If I don't hear anything within that 1 minute, and that's not a normal Charleston thing, I like, oh, why did it just say female pirate when we're standing at the powder magazine? That's the
Yeah.
kind of things I'm looking for. So let's get into it. The building we're going to be diving into is the building behind you. That's the powder magazine. Those are not crosses on there, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. Anybody teach you guys about earthquake bolts?
No.
Okay. The gist behind those is if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, you can tighten those slowly because they're basically turnbuckles through the roof or through the floors of buildings. As you tighten it, it will straighten the building back up. So
The crosses?
those bolts in the center of it. You'll see once we get closer to it. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. It's part of the Charleston charm. You guys will see them all over town in the shape of pineapples, lion heads, whatever.
Pineapples.
Yeah. So even on the apartment building behind it, you'll see square earthquake bolts. They are supposed to be very functional, but again, they don't really work well.
So, what are the round ones are earthquake bolts too? The one. Okay, I always thought they were like just levelers for
No.
like those things. Okay.
You'll see, and those are very crude. And the reason why I bring these up is it all goes into the Charleston history. Those are the first earthquake bolts that we put in because of what this building is. It held gunpowder for 7 different wars, including the Civil War. So I told you guys that the Charlestown Wall, we crossed it, right? This street right here is what we crossed. This is where the wall stood. It went up past the powder magazine about a block and started going south behind me towards the battery. So we're still within the original Charlestown walls. It's 3 blocks away from the water. So if it gets attacked by cannon, it's going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. That's why
Okay.
they built it that way. If it does and goes all the way through and blows up the gunpowder, underneath those red shingles is sand from 1712. That's supposed to blow up in the air. It won't go out because the walls are too thick, and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery, got attacked because the peninsula is skinnier down there, and the sand went up and the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist anymore. So this one's just never been attacked. So I tell you all of this because this is a government building. It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. During its construction, it took 10 years to make this small building. Does that sound like our government? Not at all, right? So during the middle of its construction, 1703 to 1713, right in the middle is where the story begins. So let's get into the story. 1708, a young lady named Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland. You gotta follow me on this one. There's a lot of twists.
And
Anne Cormack, she moves here with her dad and his mistress.
oh,
The mistress is her mother. You with me so far? The 3 of them are running away from his wife
okay.
from Ireland. How pissed is she? Just saying.
Yeah.
So they get on a boat. They land in the Georgetown area, just north of here. It's about an hour, hour and a half drive. So dad buys a plantation, and mom dies pretty quickly. So
The mistress.
yeah.
Okay.
So he has to send young Anne, who's probably 8, 9, 10 years old, down to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation to keep things going. We're here because this is a familiar building. We don't have many buildings this old in Charleston. I told you that this was the oldest government building. It's not the oldest building we have.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. Plus, it's also in the allowable space for tours. So that's another reason why we're here. So let's get into what Anne is doing. So Anne is down here and she's selling things from, the plantation, but back home they say that she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. I just want you to put that mentality in your head. Like, she's kind of a badass.
Yeah.
She wants her freedoms. Mom is gone. She's an angry young lady. We're
Yeah.
going to fast forward. This building is done in 1713. 1715, 2 years after that, pirates are coming through town, and she is stoked. She's going to fall in love. Did your battery die again?
Yeah, but you know what I was seeing? Like little things.
Really?
Is that like?
It's a possibility. I have to see it to... Because
It
you're
was
going to
like
see
a lot
bugs,
of
too.
little things.
You're going to see bugs, too.
It might have been
So I
bugs.
have to analyze it on a
But
bigger
then it
screen than that.
froze.
Yeah, I'll fix you in a minute.
Uh,
So, where was I? Oh, pirates are coming through town.
1715. Yep.
So the pirates are coming through town. She falls in love pretty quickly. This guy's name is James Bonney. Now, James, Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. So what
Yeah.
do? They run away to Jamaica and they get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age, and her career started here. So when she gets down there, this guy is a coward. He's a privateer, a spy for the British. This is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she wanted.
Yeah.
A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. We'll refer to him as Jack through the rest of the story. But Jack, he does have his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. But females curse pirate ships. You cannot put a girl on the crew. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, hide your gender, be a female in my quarters, he's the captain, you could be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home to hide her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. She gets on the ship. Being a female in his quarters, obviously she's going to get pregnant. Let's just put two and two together.
Yeah.
You cannot have a pregnant pirate guy on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out. He drops her off in Cuba. I know I'm rushing through this, but there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Drops her off in Cuba. Go have the kid. Come back. We'll figure it out later. She goes to Cuba, has the baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this kid. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a shit anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty mad. And knowing Anne,
Yeah.
Jack just captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's gonna go flirting. Guy number 3, in case y'all lost track. The guy she's flirting with turns out to be a female, just like a guy to be part of a crew that Calico Jack just captured.
What?
So, now we have two females on the same ship doing the exact same thing. This young lady's name is Mary Read, spelled like you read a book.
Okay.
So, she convinces Mary to become part of the crew, and the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only two not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet muskets. What do you think's going to happen? This ship's going to get taken. As they're being arrested by the British, Anne looks at Jack and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog." The word dog will show up here from time to time. So, the judge, his name is Nicholas Trott. If you hear my name, it's not me. Or, I'm sorry, Nicholas Trott was from Charleston. Nicholas Laws was the Chief Justice down there. He wants to see the two men by themselves so that way he can see what's going on. He already tries and hangs Calico Jack and the men from down below deck. Anne and Mary go in front of the judge. They reveal their gender. He doesn't care. He's still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies, was the last thing they said, claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is still illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary. Has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know after her pirate career. Very vague. Mary Read died in a Jamaican jail a year later, in 1721, from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Take that for what it's worth. Questions that you can ask. Only 2 things that I left out that I know for sure. That is the name of Calico Jack's ship and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. Notice I said mom and dad a lot. So, if
Yeah.
you want to ask those things to get the answers,
It wasn't chaos, was it?
it was not chaos, but it was definitely a lot of chaotic things with the pirate career.
Yeah.
I told you
Chaotic
guys.
came up.
I told you guys at the beginning of this tour that some people have passed out at this location.
Yeah.
This is one of those locations. I will tell this story forever. I came over here with a group of 10. The gentleman next to me goes white as a ghost, no pun intended,
Yeah.
and starts to drop like a wet noodle. I pick him up by his armpit. We take him over to that wall. The boyfriend follows. I send the boyfriend over to go get a bottle of water for him. We're getting him feeling better. Then I tell the story, what I just told you. They pull me aside after I spread everybody out with their device and say, "Go have fun." And they say, "Nick, we got to tell you something." What's up? We are 2 transgender males. I had
Wow.
2 females dressed like men.
Wow.
Wow.
Before I told the story.
Yeah.
So it was like as soon as we got to the space, one of them dropped.
She started to.
Yeah.
Yeah. He started to
Yeah,
feel
it's
bad.
definitely
Wow.
a he, is what their pronouns were throughout the
Yeah.
story. And I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
That is great.
very, very cool stuff. Your camera likes to act up in here, so we'll kind of see what happens. Definitely going to, this is a hit or miss. I'm not going to lie. You either get a shit ton of stuff or we get nothing. So I
Yeah.
hate to end a tour like this, but pirates are exciting for most people. So I learn as much as I possibly can. I'm still reading stuff about pirates,
Yeah.
just because there's so much.
So you said that she had 4 children?
plus the one in Cuba.
Plus the one in Cuba.
I want to know what happened to the baby in Cuba.
Yeah.
I don't know any names of the children. There's no.
It's just a baby.
Baby.
Wow.
I have the word heat and fire, which is weird because I don't know that this has ever been through a fire. Just weird that both of those
Yeah.
terms popped up. But
Are
you have
those, is that the red building and the brick? Are they same together? Or
now,
two
keep
different?
in mind, in between it serving the wars, it had to be other things. You'll notice as we get closer to it, there's a different inlay to the bricks, like it almost looks like a rooftop, inside the wall. They are connected.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still connected, but I think the bottom portion of these apartments is still storage for the powder magazine because they do have a lot of artifacts in there. It is a very. And I actually had a year pass through it just because their like bookshop in there is amazing. They were getting stuff quicker than Amazon,
Yeah.
so I was like down here every other month trying to see what they had. But they are connected in some way. I will tell you that. But let's get closer to it, and we're going to end up on that wall. There's a little bench there, so that way we can kind of chill. You can start recording if you want, if it's still working.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
I'm
recording. You're
guys.
on it.
Let's get it.
But he did hear the word baby, and I'm on it.
If the baby have died with like heat or fire, like would that have been
Maybe.
like a
I can't say yes or no. I'm not going to make stuff up for you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm just wondering if it kind of works like that. If you give him
And this is not the Pinky Mansion. Like, you won't get those crazy readings.
Oh,
here.
okay,
So, but if you do, that means something else is doing something too.
Okay.
And I did have a lot of call and answer here in November, December.
Okay.
Right? With those, like, the color thing I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
Normally I warn that we're going to see a lot of, like, other large tours. I haven't seen another tour out yet.
Yeah.
I must be the only guy
Maybe
working
too
on it.
cold, yeah.
So, can you at least see why this is fascinating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated.
I did my best.
I like
not to
all the
focus on it
stories.
all night.
You're good.
I'm fascinated. I like the history of everything.
yeah.
I like history too.
When I designed all of this, I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, like that's what I do. I write fiction about the afterlife.
Yeah.
So when I put this tour together, it was about how many people can I actually appeal to? How many can I go to kids? Can I go to grandparents? I have to add history. I have to add tool gadgets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm still upgrading things.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to do a quick battery pop.
Oh yeah.
Let's get some footage while we're here. But I actually have 4 different types of.
I'm hearing a lot more clear right here, though.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Brick.
That's a little nutty.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get a little bit of a spike over here with the regular numbers just because we're close to that pole. So that's
Oh,
common.
okay.
So you might get like a 3 to 5 over here.
Yeah, I'm at like 3.6.
Yeah. Display some together anyway. Yeah, nice slow movement. See if we get some. And I'll walk with you if you want to go back up to that corner to see if there's any more things floating around.
Okay.
And if you guys want to have a seat, and I'll walk with her to get some more footage up here, and then we'll wrap this party up. You're sitting here, I know.
Steve wants to find a brick. Come on, there's one right here, Steve. Pry it up.
Good luck.
100. Us?
Should have been in a hurry the whole damn time.
Well, the problem is you're trying to listen to the stories telling.
Oh, I'm sure.
At the same time to listen to this shit.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm the worst person to get to this. I want to listen to the damn
I heard
story.
neck.
So what was it about the turning this? What was
You
that kid-
turn it after like an earthquake. You can turn it to straighten the building back up.
What she said doesn't work.
What she said, yeah, but that's what all the buildings. So everything. Like I thought, what she said that it was like a rod to
I
hold
did too.
floors up. But
Maybe it is.
little, but
Now
all
that
the-
he said it, I think it is because
So
that's what I heard
those
on
are-
the,
those
Same thing?
squares are the same thing
as the round.
as the
yeah.
round things. They turn them to try and square up, tighten the buildings, the walls.
Really?
I wonder what year they
Guess
stopped
that
doing
doesn't work. I wonder what they use to turn it. You know, like
it. The nut on it.
from the outside they do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like these were designed where you just turn the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those, you said you had to turn the nut? I don't know. Makes sense. I didn't know there was fucking earthquakes in South Carolina.
I didn't either.
Oh,
Come on, what's up with the word? Get the words.
come on, Amanda. Steve, there's a loose brick.
At least you want to bring home a haunted brick.
Peace. You don't want a brick?
There's one over here too.
The whole one?
No, it's
Time.
half like that.
No, broken half brick.
We switched.
Time 100 us.
Didn't you say something with an N? Neck?
Neck.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
What name?
What her name?
So I got kicked out of Philadelphia Alley. That was the day before Thanksgiving in 2020. That was November 26th. I took Thanksgiving off and I come here the next night trying to tell as much as I can. I didn't know all what I told you guys.
Yeah.
It's November 28th, 2020. Somebody heard the number 300. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't believe any of the pirate stuff. Like, I'm just not into it. I go home, I start my research. November 28th, 1720 was the date of Mary and Anne's trial in front of the judge. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of their trial. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Now I gotta
That
keep
is
going back.
weird. Yeah.
So, again, I wasn't a pirate guy.
Yeah.
I listen to pirate podcasts now. I just finished reading, Who's Reading Pirates by Captain Charles Johnson. Like, I just, all this damn
Anything
pirate
else?
stuff. Like, try to put all the timelines together and, like, who's who. I watch all kinds of documentaries
Yeah,
on it.
I love pirate shit.
It's an ex-wife thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was a vampire, she was into pirates, so I was just like, yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
hard. So every time I do pirates, I'm like, ex-wife. But it is very fascinating, all of the things that they've done.
bunch just now.
Well, that's cool. Make sure you stop the recording so we don't keep losing them. So that way I always know to, like, look at the last 30 seconds or so, and then start it back up again. Give it another minute or two. You'll see if anything's popping up on mine. Nothing you gave me seems to be relevant.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write them down, but at least you're hearing things. I'm not getting anything on here. Yeah, okay. I'm excited, just so you guys know, like, this was a little lighter than what I normally see. I'm excited about Gate coming up twice.
Yeah.
Like, that was a pretty big deal. I'm excited about the color red showing up at the very beginning.
President.
President. And actually, you heard President.
Yeah.
And it came up on the list. So, and the word plant showed up when we were basically in Eliza's garden.
Oh, that's.
So, I'm pretty excited. And judicial, even, is something relevant. So, if we get, Charles's name or the word governor or anything like that, it's because he was definitely a governor. So,
He heard baby.
yeah, baby
Oh, we're
here,
talking
so that
about
was pretty
baby.
cool. But yeah, when you said Gateway and then I seen Gate on mine, I'm like, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see if anything comes up more about Philadelphia Alley. Usually those things are missed because I tell that story and we move. It's not a stay and listen like what we do here. I think Jeff's more fascinated with the full spectrum camera.
We're watching regular time.
You don't see anything?
Anything else before I start wrapping up?
I don't. I'm getting a lot of static now. It was like right when I put it in, and like I heard all those words,
Yeah.
Weird.
All right, let me take that full spectrum camera because it has its own
Oh.
pocket.
Oh, her.
Oh, this
Yep,
one?
yep.
Yep,
I'm going to
yep.
take that one first. Nice job, by the way.